Morning, Glory America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. Hugh Hewitt. Good morning to all of you across the United States of America and in Canada. I am joined by Michael Shear of the New York Times. Always a pleasure, Michael. Welcome. Good to have you back.
Great to do it. Be here. Good morning.
I think we may have some disagreements, though, about your latest piece in the New York Times. Trump delays effort to end protections for immigrant dreamers. First off, would you summarize it for the audience what you were reporting on yesterday?
Sure. You know, the president in 2017 attempted to end the DACA program, which is the Obama program executive order that had attempted to protect what they call dreamers, these young undocumented immigrants who are in the United States because generally they were brought here by their parents when they were young children. The courts held up the president's attempt to end the program, and ultimately the Supreme Court said that the process by which President Trump attempted to end the program was not proper, and basically sent it back and said, if you want to, try again. And yesterday, instead of attempting to just end the program again, the president essentially kind of re-implemented it, but in a kind of a different way with more restrictions, and essentially punted until after the election.
And my take on the article, Michael, is it's got some assumptions baked into it with which I disagree. Yesterday, Nick Lemon of the New Yorker called me up to ask me about Trump and why he won and what he's done and what he would promise to do in a second term. And I said, well, we'll have immigration reform like he wanted to do in the first year. And Nick asked me, what do you mean? I said, well, everybody gets to stay. That's the mainstream Republican position, is that everybody gets to stay if you're not violent. I know there are people like Fair, and there's some Stephen Miller people out there who want to throw people out. But when I read your story, you said that yesterday's memo, quote, would energize Mr. Trump's base by suggesting the program DACA would eventually be scrapped. I actually don't think that has anything to do with energizing the president's base. I honestly don't think that would get past fact checker if I put it in a Washington Post op-ed, because I don't believe it's true.
Well, I mean, look, one of the things that the president said repeatedly during the 2016 campaign that was met with cheers repeatedly at the rallies that he could then hold in 2016 was that he wanted to completely end the illegal, unconstitutional Obama, I called it a power grab or overreach, executive overreach called DACA. That was what he promised in 2016. And to the extent that that was a campaign promise that was embraced by, I think you would call it his base, to the extent that he makes good on that promise, I think that's, what, his political advisors had been telling him is that when it comes to DACA, I mean, obviously there's a bigger immigration agenda here, but that when it comes to DACA, he should make good on the promise, and that his base will expect him to make good on a promise that he made repeatedly in 2016 and has not yet accomplished, despite years of trying. So that's, I think, what we meant by that, in that he wants to make good on a promise that he made to his base, and to do that, will energize them again for the reelection.
Now, you see, I just think that's an opinion you hold, and I'm sure some people hold that opinion, but it's an opinion I reject because I don't believe his base wants DACA ended. They want illegal immigration stopped at the border, and they're completely fine in and the president, in fact, said many times in the campaign, we'll let the dreamers stay. I don't think any significant part of the Republican Party wants to deport DACA. And therefore, when the New York Times says it's going to energize Trump's base to eliminate DACA, I think it is merging opinion that it wants to believe, or that you may believe, with the facts of the actual coalition that elected Trump. And then later in the story, Michael, you write, Mr. Trump's promised assault on immigration, including a pledge to end DACA, was critical to his election victory in 2016 and became a central part of his administration's agenda as he moved to keep out refugees and asylum seekers, to build a wall across the southwestern border, and to reduce legal immigration. Couple of comments. Clearly, the wall is a central part of the Trump campaign. I have no argument with that. He does not want to reduce legal immigration. He wants to change the immigration system. And I don't believe any of this was critical to his election victory in Michigan, Wisconsin, or Pennsylvania, where it was jobs, jobs, jobs. In other words, I think, and you're a very fine reporter, but I don't think you were able to keep opinions about the Trump base out of a story about DACA, which just doesn't fit the narrative. The narrative wants to believe he's anti-immigrant, and he's not. He's anti-illegal entry into the United States, and it's a very different proposition, Michael.
Well, so a couple of things. Of course, as you know, I wrote a whole book on this topic.
Yes.
So I would challenge you on a couple of things. First of all, that these are opinions, not actual facts. First of all, what we said was that on DACA, the promise was to end DACA, not to deport the Dreamers. Okay, I agree with you there. He didn't say I want to deport the Dreamers. He's always sort of waffled on that. But the promise to the base was this is an illegal executive action, and we're going to end it. In fact, he promised to end it on the first day. That was a promise to the base. That's not an opinion.
Actually, it is an opinion, Mike, because when you say the base, would you explain what you mean by the base? Because I think of the base as being 90% of the 48% that elected Trump. That's the base.
Look, you can that is certainly a subjective definition of what is the base. But what I mean by the base is the sort of hardcore, the sort of people who make up the bulk of the folks who come to the rallies, who not the people that he had to work hard to convince to vote for him, but the people that were central to his.
We're on to something. So you think the base are rally goers, and I think the base is 90% of the 48% who elected him. I think the rally goers are certainly the most enthusiastic and energized people, but even they don't want to send home the DACA kids. So we're back to.
No, I agree. But I do think that they supported the promise to end the program. I mean, those two things are different.
You're right. But when you write it this way, it makes it sound like the president is anti-immigrant. And what my point of view is that if people would isolate those issues, that the border is different from being anti-immigrant. The president is not anti-immigrant. The Republican Party is not anti-immigrant. We are not anti-legal immigration, and we are not anti-DACA. We are for organizing it.
But let me say, so you've conflated a bunch of things there. First of all, what Trump is and what the Republican Party is are two different things. I will definitely agree with you there. There is much diversity in the Republican Party. There are Republicans who think one thing about immigration and Republicans who think another. And so let's make sure that it is definitely clear that when you're talking about what Trump and the Trump administration think, that is definitely different from what a lot of Republicans think. Second, on legal immigration, you're just wrong about legal immigration. The president says on many occasions that he is not against legal immigration. That's what he says. What his administration has done methodically for 3.5 years is to take action to turn off if they could, but to turn down every single opportunity they have gotten to turn down the dials of legal immigration into this country.
No, we disagree on that, because refugees and asylum seekers who are not refugees or actually entitled to asylum are not turning down legal immigration, Michael. That is making sure that loopholes that have been expanded by very good immigration lawyers on the other side of the border are manipulating. But I want to go back to the term conflation. When you write, Mr. Trump's promised assault on immigration, including a pledge to end DACA, was critical to his election victory, became a central part of administration agenda as he moved to keep out refugees and asylum seekers, to build a wall across the southwestern border, and to reduce illegal immigration. You've conflated it all. I want to give you the last 35, 45 seconds here, but it's just not central to his agenda. It isn't. Stephen Miller's agenda is not the president's agenda. I think this is just wrong.
Well, look, I mean, you're right that the question, I mean, that's a debatable point. Is it central or is it not central? I spent 3.5 years writing many, many stories about it, and I would argue that the entire 2018 campaign was, was run in large part on this issue too. So I think that's a defensible position that immigration has been central to both his 2016 campaign and his current one.
But do you agree he is not for sending the Dreamers home?
I mean, there certainly his administration has made comments about doing it, but he has definitely been all over the map on that, and so it's not clear.
Thank you, Michael Shear.
Okay, thanks.